Let's give them something to talk about. I see the energy running out. I got a planet to run around. Okay. You ain't do nothing but run your mouth. No, I don't want to be humble now. You doubted me, nothing to talk about.
See how professional we are, dude?
Dude, I'm ready to go through a wall after that. It's like all my podcast is coming to reality now. I am the #1 fan. I dare anyone to dispute that.
Yeah, you are. We got your company right there. You said right away you stepped up and sponsored us. I don't know why, but
thank you for that.
But we're great. Yeah, we're grateful for that.
Extremely.
No, dude.
Nice. Thanks for joining us. Did you podcast last Monday? Is that why you couldn't join us last Monday?
Crazy story. This is a great lead off, but there is a judge in Jiles County, Virginia, and he runs a drug court, which he doesn't even like to call drug court. He calls it recovery court. And this dude, Mondays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m., his court room turns into a gym.
No.
Dude, I'm telling,
that's awesome.
There's a YouTube video. It was one of the single most awe-inspiring things I've seen. They're doing wall balls in the courtroom wall, like next to a mural of a judge. It is so nuts.
That's amazing.
That really is cool.
Yeah, he Lee Harrell is his name, Judge Lee Harrell. His court administrator, and then their CrossFit coach made the trip up here last Monday. And so we spent a whole day talking shop and running through how we do things here. But
do you have any footage of that? Is that footage gotten shared anywhere? We need
I can
something up. Looking for it now.
Well, because it would that's something that's really cool.
Well, I'm trying to get I'll post it into the chat here.
For anyone that doesn't know, Dale King is our guest today. Entrepreneur, Army veteran, Iraq Special Forces, which is cool. 2 tours in Iraq, and came back and has started a couple of different companies. One of them is our sponsor, Doc Spartan Skin Care products, and I would say go to their website because proceeds for that, purchases for that, go to support veterans who are coming back, and then and they're cool products. I love, by the way, and I think I have it somewhere. Your combat ready ointment.
Yeah, dude.
And I keep it in the gym. What's cool about it is it's waxy. So you get a rope burn, for example, you put on like a Neosporin because you got to immediately, otherwise you freaking thing gets infected, takes forever. But you put on the combat ready ointment, it stays on. It doesn't melt and run. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so love that. And then you got some cool skincare products for men and women.
Yeah, man. I never thought I would be the deodorant king of Southern Ohio when I grew up.
But all natural products, which is great. Plays right into that. But anyway, then on top of it, he owns a CrossFit affiliate in Portsmouth, Ohio, which has received a ton of attention recently. And in my email that I sent out to everybody that goes out to my email list, I put a link to the article in Rolling Stone magazine that recently wrote about it, and his work with addicts in recovery, and turning their lives around there in Portsmouth. And then also, he is are you still a district manager now? Or did you get fired too?
I have joined the ranks of you, my brother. I'm a proud former district rep.
I mean, really, and to be honest, like now that I think about it, like it's turning into getting fired at CrossFit's the cool kids club.
Especially for the OGs,
right? Yeah, because Castro was fired.
Yeah, it's true.
Savon was fired.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I was fired. Dale's fired. We can go through a pretty long list, actually, of people. Like, if I really dug into like all the people that were fired, like, hey, those are all some really cool people.
Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking about that too the other day. I was like, well, I'm not in so bad company. I mean,
Well, get this. Here's what's even more amazing is that we still love fucking CrossFit.
I know that's how we're we're the dumb ones in this equation. They're gonna be like, why do we need them on the payroll? They're gonna.
Someone's gonna go back, like some business expert or some psychiatrist or something's gonna write a book about CrossFit and the allure that it has, and like even the people that get fired from it come back to it.
It just speaks to more of the methodology.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're so nice.
Positive here.
It's true. And but anyway, so welcome to the Cool Kids Club.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, thank you for leading the way on that.
Yeah, you know it's funny. So the shirt I have on, this is the
the In and Out.
Do you recognize the logo?
Oh, that's like In and Out, right? Or is that
right? So we made this logo shirt when In and Out decided in the state of California, because California, nationwide, they mandated that in a lot of, I don't know, maybe it was state.
It was the state. The state.
Well, the state said you had to businesses, restaurants, bars, gyms had to check for vaccine cards
to the customers.
To the customers, so and if you weren't vaccinated, you couldn't come in. In and In and Out said fine, no customers on site, like on drive through only. We refuse to make our employees the enforcers for the vaccine mandate.
Yeah,
and we refused as well. That's so hence the shirt. But I wore it today for. I'm probably starting off this podcast in a contentious way. This should
beautiful.
Be great. Well, we'll see viewership go down. But I wore it today because yesterday, In and Out announced internally within their organization that if you're an employee and you want to wear a mask, you have to have a note from your doctor saying
you have to have a note if you want to
wear a mask.
That is beautiful.
You want to wear a mask at work, you have to have a doctor's note saying you need a mask.
Dude,
interesting.
Full circle.
Yeah, because the kids' parents, the teenagers and stuff that are there, they don't have the guts to tell their kids, hey, stop wearing the mask.
Yeah, it's doing more harm than good.
It's doing more harm than good,
especially when you're back there frying away and running around.
Yeah, in your honor, I wore this T-shirt today.
Hey,
exercising is not a crime.
Yep. Oh, that's good. I love that.
Yeah, I had to dig through the closet, but I was like, this is for the boys right here.
Yeah. You can tell there is kind of a common theme here already. Like if you look at, let's see if I can do this right. Turn this right. You see my background?
Yep. Exactly.
We're I don't want to hear the complaints. Let's work harder.
So speaking of pandemic stories, that's where we first met is when your brief tenure as the district rep. Yep. And then, getting to know you better and you leading the charge for all the affiliates in California, because you guys got just rocked.
Yeah, we did.
Yep. In Ohio, we were only shut down for 6 weeks.
Wow.
It seemed like the longest 6 weeks of my life, but
yeah.
I just thought everybody had gone back to normal, and then you guys were still having to deal with it. But in that 6 week period, that's when Greg was doing his Zoom calls with all the affiliates.
Yep.
And, I was internally navigating it. My wife is a ER nurse practitioner. So we went through the world's coming to an end to what's the safe thing to do for our members. Well, 5 weeks into it was just like, well, not everyone's dying out there. Like this is not what was forecasted or modeled to be. So we're on a call with Greg, and Greg goes, well, I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd put newspaper up in my windows and tell everybody it was closed and then invite everybody in.
That's exactly what you did. When you said that.
And I went, okay, that's what I was thinking. So we put this whole dramatic marketing spin on it that if we put these little tiki torches out. And so like we said, if the tiki torch was lit, that meant we were having meetings. So you could come to a club meeting if you wanted to. That lasted for all of about 3 hours until
You ran out of tiki oil.
well, we got the health lady comes in.
Oh man!
And we had got ratted out, and we weren't that in executing a covert mission. I forgot to tell people don't park in the parking lot. Like it's a ghost town, and then boom, our parking lot's just full.
Stacked. Nobody's out in the streets. Just this one location is loaded.
So she comes in and she says, Dale, I know you know why I'm here. And I'm like, well, what's going on? I don't know. She's like, you can't, like, it's not legal to be doing this. And so I was hyping myself up that I'm just going to eviscerate this poor old lady and give her the riot act. And she goes, but I tell you what, if you guys, this was like, what, we're talking April-ish? Yeah. She goes, if you want to work out in the parking lot, I'll let it go.
Oh.
And I was like, holy shit. Like, that's a common sense compromise. And so I was like, that would be awesome. And so she represented the county. There's 88 counties in Ohio. And for an entire month, we were the only county in Ohio that was allowed to work outside for that. And then the month later, they allowed gyms to open up. So
that's fantastic.
It's nice. Only a month later, you guys got to reopen.
Yeah. And then 2 days later, I get a call from Columbus. So I was like, oh, cat's out of the bag. Like, this is now it's gone up to the governor's office. So I'm like, yeah. And they're like, hey, this is so-and-so from the governor's office. And I was like, oh,
here we go.
And they're like, we would like you to be a part of the committee to reopen Ohio's gyms.
Oh,
awesome. I go, do you have the right guy? Like, do you know?
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that? So I helped write legislation, if you will, to make it not so, because, CrossFit gyms aren't Globo gyms, just to make it as easy as possible for that. So that's my little pandemic story.
Really, that's it. At the beginning, we were as nervous and as scared as everybody was. But then also I started to, because of our situation and the possible economic impact of it on our business and our coaches especially, I started to look at the data very carefully as it was coming in, right? They were doing PCR tests on everybody. And then they were also telling us how many people were in the hospital, and then they were recording deaths, even though we know some of that information is not altogether that accurate. But nonetheless, we had data. Even with the data that they had, as skewed as I feel it might have been, it still was representative, very little risk if you were healthy.
Right.
And then I contacted doctors first that were members of our community, contacted nurses, talked to nurses, had a couple really great conversations, long in-depth conversations about what they were seeing in the hospitals and who was coming in and who was the most affected and who were the bedridden. And then the next conversation I had was with, and you'll remember this because I had a conversation with a HVAC specialist. Mm-hmm. The reason I did that was because I thought I instantly, when this started happening, I instantly thought of Legionnaire's disease. Mm-hmm. Legionnaire's disease, and I think it was the early 80s when Legionnaires came out, and there was the group of Legionnaires that at Legionnaire meetings that first came out that they were dying from turned out to be a bacterial infection that was being passed through the air ducts because of poor filtration. Ancient filtration systems, they just literally weren't cleaning these fucking things.
Dude, if you've ever been to an American Legion, like that is it's like walking back into time.
I know, right? The old stuff on the walls and stuff, the pictures and the old medals and stuff. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
And so, but it was becoming a thing. And so then I talked to, and I researched, and it turned out it was the ventilation system. Then I thought, ventilation, well, okay. Well, if this really, and I think everybody by that time, after the first few weeks, they knew that this thing was transmitted through the air, not necessarily by touch. But the biggest risk was the air. Well, although we treated everything here, we sprayed everything down, we did all that shit too. But I said, if it's transmittable through the air, how could you not get it? I started thinking, how could I not get it?
Right.
Well, I'm not going to get it if I'm in a fucking car driving down the freeway in a convertible, right? With the wind blowing like it's 60, 70 miles an hour. I don't think I'm going to get COVID. Pretty low risk. So then I started working backwards. Well, what if I went 50? What if I went 40? What if I went 30? What if I went 20? And I'm like, well, yeah, probably not all the way down to like 10 miles an hour. I just don't think it's possible. So then I talked to the HVAC specialist. I said, yeah. So principle known as like it was like air diffusion system, process. You got to diffuse air. You got to put more air in per, milligrams of or microbes of virus. Right. So the more air you get into offset, I'm like, okay, cool. Fuck, I'll put fans up everywhere. And I have ceiling ventilation already. We'll roll up the garage doors. We'll make the indoors like the outdoors. Yep. And then I asked him, I said, how can I measure it? He goes, that's easy. He goes, there are airflow monitors that you can buy. They're expensive that show the cubic feet per air that come in and out. He goes, the HVAC guys know this. It's a formula that's been around since like 1903 and it's still in use today. And so, but then the other way, he goes, well, the easiest way though is if you want to measure how much people are breathing and how much effect, you just get carbon CO2 monitors. And he goes, and then the numbers, you look for the numbers and you keep it from between like 400 and 800, and chances are it's just the same as outdoor air. So what did I do? I'm like, okay, let me think through this critically. Let me put one outside and see what the outside air is. And the outside air was coming in at like 480, 475, 480, smoky days.
Depending on the smoke.
Yeah, depending on the smoke. But it was like 480, 490. Put them in the gym, fucking A. It was like 430 because we had such airflow, and there was like 430 to 520. And then if we got a whole full class, all spaced out, of course, it got as high as like 650. And then if it got to 700, I told the coaches, take a break, everybody walk outside for a little bit.
Which it never did.
It never did.
It never went that high.
And that was $80 on Amazon for that.
Tried to explain it to the county. No luck.
Yeah.
Didn't care.
The investigators came into they took the license plate numbers of people parked in our parking lot.
Oh, they were doing
what was like, did you guys, I know you were racking up like serious fines.
Yeah, we did. Not that high. There were some counties like, the down in Santa Clara County, if they would double it every time you got fined, or every day.
And I feel like it started higher than ours did too.
Yeah, theirs started at like 1,000 and it would double every time. So that you could instantly get to like tens of thousands of dollars of fines. Ours went like, it started at 250, 500, 750, 1,000, and they capped it at 1,000.
Oh, I thought it was like 1,500 each visit.
No, it was they capped it at each visit at 1,000.
Okay.
So we ended up, the total fines was like $7,750. Total fine through.
Did you have to pay that, or did that just kind of?
My attorney. I was at first.
Sorry if I'm asking.
I'm not paying this. We'll take him to court. And I want to sue the governor. Can I sue the governor? And he goes, well, no. There's something called sovereign immunity. You can't sue the governor. Otherwise, everybody would sue the governor. And I thought about that. I'm like, oh yeah, well, that makes sense. And then he goes, look, and he goes, but we can sue the county and try and pursue that. He goes, let me just tell you. He goes, they're gonna appeal it first of all. He goes, if there is a decision, they're going to appeal it. He goes, but before we even get to that decision, they're going to request a jury trial, and because of who they are, they're going to get a jury trial. And he goes, just want to tell you, Craig, it's probably about $30,000 to $50,000 for me to just to pick a jury, just to like get through because you got to do all the interviews, you got to do all, then you got to take. And he goes, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to want to drag this out as long as they can and make it super, super expensive for you.
Yeah.
He goes, or you could pay $7,500 and write it off. My attorney's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So here's how I paid the $7,500, and then that I gave myself permission to bitch about it for about 3 or 4 years.
Beautiful. In perpetuity.
In perpetuity. You're right.
Don't time cap that thing. Let it go.
Anyway, so all I started with was the shirt logo. Sorry.
I'm going to go down so many rabbit holes. I love it.
I know. So Dale and I became fast friends. We did have a cool group of people as the first district managers, which was really cool. And then I learned more about you as time went on. Like all I knew you was you were an affiliate owner in Portsmouth, Ohio, and cool dude, and I liked rapping with you. And then I found out, you're a little bit about your background. Then I found out about Doc Spartan, and then after Doc Spartan, I found out about PKSC and the work that you're doing with addicts and recovery there.
Yeah, man.
Why did you decide to do the Doc Spartan thing, the skincare thing, and the combat radio? I mean, did you have an idea for that right away and just go, I need to execute this idea? Because I think ideas all the time. I'm like,
So we opened up the gym in 2010. And then one of the original members was a girl named Renee, and she was on the side. She had always made like all natural creams and lotions just kind of in her kitchen and sold them at farmers markets. And then as the gym kind of grew around 2015, her stuff was getting more popular. And then in 2013, I started with my Army buddy. I started a nonprofit called Team Some Assembly Required. And it was to help adaptive athletes. So essentially to help fund for their training to compete in CrossFit, powerlifting, like fitness-based sports. And so from me getting to know them, they would get really gnarly blisters and rashes where their residual limb fits into their prosthetic from, multiple reps, overuse, stuff like that. So that was kind of the background of it. And then I went to Renee and then, people, hand ripping was like a thing, a real big thing back in the day. And so we'd always get people that would rip their hands or bust their shins inside the gym. So I said, hey, let's figure out a way to make like a all natural first aid ointment that, we could give to the people on Team SAR, and then we could just sell it as an item in the gym. And so she created a bunch of prototypes. We then passed them out to everybody in the gym and just said, hey, can you test this out and give us feedback? And the feedback that we were getting was far and beyond anything that we, originally intended it for. Like, actually, it was, I think one of the first names was just called like hand repair cream or something like that.
Right.
But then it slowly morphed into like, hey, I used this on my kid's diaper rash. I put it on my tattoo. I had a surgery. I put it on my scar. And we were getting really good like before and after testimonials. And so literally this is in my kitchen. Renee came over, and on a napkin, we just said, all right, 50-50 partners. And we took $200, went to the grocery store to buy ingredients. And that's how we started the company.
That's a trip.
It's badass.
Yeah. And then it was crazy because in 2015, I quit working my full-time job for the Department of Energy. 2010, I started the gym, and I kept working my full-time job for that 5 years, and then finally built the gym up to where I thought it was ready for me to walk away from my real job. And that same summer, we started Doc Spartan. A year from that, 2016, we were out in LA filming an episode for Shark Tank.
And that choice, did you apply for Shark Tank, or did I think you told the story. I've heard you tell the story. They sought you out. Right?
Yeah. So they reached out to us.
That's right.
I thought it was like one of my dipshit friends. I was joking. Because it came from the email came from a Gmail address.
Yeah, I would have done that to you.
Yeah, and I was like, what? And then I Googled the guy, and I was like, oh, he was like holding Emmys. I was like, oh, like this guy's for real. So he just said, hey, they were looking for like first responder companies.
Okay. Yeah. That's
and
cool.
he said, we like what you guys have. If you put together a casting video, we'll fast track you, and then we'll see if we select you from there.
Right on.
That's really cool.
And you got picked.
Yeah, we got picked.
What was really cool, but by the way, just side note on this is so I knew that he had Doc Spartan, and I hadn't seen the episode. And then I saw the episode when I was sitting at home one day, and Yvonne, my wife, was in the kitchen. I'm like, hey, I know that guy. It was so good.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was, going through the process, casting videos, meeting producers, actually going on the show, what it's like on the show, to when you actually air it is one of the most, I'll say, adventurous processes in entrepreneurship that I've ever been involved in.
So does it give you perspective? Because Jamie and I were talking about this offline before we got started. We should actually just clicked in and had that discussion, because Don Fall was just on a podcast with Talking Elite Fitness. And if you haven't heard it, by the way, I would recommend it. I recommend it to anybody that's listening to this to this podcast. Listen to the Don Fall podcast with Talking Elite Fitness. That was on last Wednesday. He's 1 year in, but it's his best, it's most revealing podcast. He's becoming more transparent about all aspects of the business, including the cost, the board of directors, what they want from him and what they expect. And then also he gets into talking about the games, and Tommy Marquez asked him some good questions about profitability. And he said the game's profitable, but the regionals or the semifinals are not their biggest cost, but they don't expect them to be. They don't have hopes for that. But I always, over the last, and this is a long ass question, sorry, dude.
No.
But over the last, 14 years, I know, because, I was plugged in, had some key contacts within the organization. I know what it costs to run the games.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at media production and the media trucks, just the media trucks, for example, remember the trucks when we had them in grid, and Tony Budding told us those trucks were $70,000 a day, and CrossFit would have
14 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was like 11, but the Super Bowl was like 14.
Yeah, Super Bowl was 14. CrossFit had like 10 or 11 of those trucks at the games, so you start to add up the cost. You're like, oh, holy shit! But that was when they were doing major productions for ESPN. But anyway, so did it give you that's my question, is you kind of get some perspective on kind of the cost of something like that for production of the games, when you think about the elaborateness of that show that you did, where you were on for 15 minutes?
Oh, not even. So it's fit. So this is, let me give you a long answer to your long question.
Yeah.
Short answer is yes. As a consumer of media, you only see that 45 minutes of an hour show or whatever that is.
Right.
It looks great. And the better it looks and the easier it appears to be, the more preparation and coordination and everything, backwards planning that's gone into that.
Right.
It's even
that's a great correlation. That's a great for people to understand when they watch a show. Well, that's simple. Fuck that. I can't just get that. Was a great little story they just told in 15 minutes.
Yep. You're not seeing the sequence prior to that going into that.
Yeah.
In the show, especially. So give you a timeline. We got approached in March. And then, so March, casting videos was submitted. We got picked up. We got assigned a producing team, met with them on Zoom before like Zoom was a cool thing to do. Then we had to show our pitch, like our little 90-second pitch, and then they would give us feedback. You get flown out there along with, they film twice a year. They film in like June and August for a season. The season runs September through May, I believe. And let's just say that's 25 episodes of, every Friday. They'll then take, the episodes aren't aired in order. They're aired in what they believe in. You got to factor in sweeps into that.
Yeah.
Holiday episodes, this, that, and the other. You go out there, you do more rehearsing. You're on Sony Studios. You're now at a lot, like an actual Hollywood lot. And I'm just a poor kid from Southern Ohio, and I'm like showing up there like Jed Clamp at like Hillbillies. We got a trailer. We got a trailer.
So that show was in LA, not in New York.
Yeah. This is filmed in LA. Yeah.
Right. You had a trailer?
Yeah, dude. We had a trailer. It was nuts. Trailer. We had snacks. We had a trailer. And then you go out there, and then you'll see like this. What is showed on TV looks like it's its own thing. Well, no, that's probably like 400 square foot of a 4,000 square foot lot.
Wow.
Big boom cameras coming in. I mean, it's a whole thing, dude. And even so, we were there for probably 50 minutes from the time the door opens and talking, negotiating, asking questions, answering questions with the Sharks. And of that entire 50 minutes, you control 90 seconds of that. And that's your opening pitch. That's it. That's the only thing you have direct control over.
Wow.
And if you screw that up, it's not going to get any better. You know what I mean? Like,
I know. I've watched the show.
Yeah.
Dude. I've seen it.
A lot of people shit the bed the first.
Oh
few
my
minutes.
God. Yes.
And luckily I had some military buddies of mine that had gone on before, and they were very generous with like mentoring and telling me. And one of my buddies said, "Listen, dude, they pick two types of people to air. They pick really good stories, or you look really dumb.
Yep.
So it's on you to decide which one you're going to be." I was like, "Well, all right, here we go."
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, because both of those are entertaining.
Yes. And that's the other thing. He's like, the show does not give a single shit about your company.
No.
They don't care. They care for entertaining, and they care to get views.
Yeah.
That's it. That they don't care about the business like the Sharks do in a way.
Sure.
But the show makes money through eyeballs. So the most entertaining people get on there. And that's who has the best story or who looks the worst.
I've heard that, and I read that recently that so they make deals on the show, but then only about 50% of those deals actually go through. And I actually could see that. That makes sense to me, just because you make a deal in a 45-minute pitch, but then, if I was a Shark, I'd go back, okay, let's really look at these numbers.
Start peeling back the onion layers and wait a minute, this doesn't line up right.
Wait a minute, right?
I mean, they poke holes in that a little bit, like in the actual show. These numbers don't add up, but I'm sure once they start to really actually open up,
I mean, they don't know you at all, so you're there for however long it's going to be, and they have to make a snap judgment. And so here, like to me, like that's a cool story. What a lot of people don't understand is we got a deal, we got a Shark. Oh my God, this is great! Like we're going to be on TV. Then it was like, now we have to execute.
Yeah. Now it's the after.
Now we have to execute. So, and you're right. Like a lot of deals, I could have just been lying to them that whole time. And then once you go through due diligence, they'll find that pretty quick, and they're not going to want to work with a liar. So we go through due diligence. And the other thing is, Robert, we got a deal on the show. Robert's our partner. He's still an active investor in the company today. And to Robert's, I'm not talking negatively towards him, but one of the terms of the deal was, we're not signing a contract with you until we get an episode air date. It's like,
oh, really?
Why would he?
Yeah, because the value is in the.
Because like the value is us getting on TV. An investor doesn't care about your company unless you're going to go get in front of whatever it is, 5-6 million people.
Brand out there.
So it's like, well, all right. But then you have to plan for this episode.
Yep.
Without
without knowing for sure that it's going to be shown. Yes.
How much time did you have in between the show and
the air date?
When you aired it, when you shot it, when you aired it?
Contractually, you are given a 2 weeks notice. Contractually, right? Well, we can't spin this up in 2 weeks. So we got the deal in June, and then you're told, hey, you're going to air this next season. Well, like I said, the season goes from September to May.
Yeah.
And they are only contractually obligated to tell you 2 weeks in advance of your air date. So
that's stressful.
That's stressful because you got to build inventory.
Oh yeah, and then so we could have.
Some of these companies have perishable products,
So we get back, and we could have aired on episode 1, which has been the beginning of September. So essentially, we're like, oh shit, what did we just get ourselves into? So I'm a big believer in like grow as you go, keep it small, keep it all. You know, I don't want to invest a bunch of debt if I don't know what's going on. Definitely don't want to take a loan against good friends of mine, et cetera, et cetera. Well, all that shit was out the door because I needed about $75,000 worth of product inventory.
Oh, damn.
On my word, essentially that. Hey, we got this episode. It's coming. I promise you, it's coming.
I swear.
I swear. And well, what then? As an investor, you're going to be like, okay, well, how many orders are you going to get? How many eyeballs are you going to get? I don't know, man.
Man,
have you seen the episode yet? No. So
good. This is reality. This is
dude,
what I like.
This is what I'm saying. This is what people don't
really,
get.
Yeah.
And so
you guys are, they show you walking down the hallway, high-fiving your friend, and there's people with tears. We got a deal, and they have no idea the stress that's going to start building.
Yep. So we take a loan, a family friend of ours, and then we had to hire somebody full time, which. I don't know if you're like me, Craig, but like I don't just hire people like I consider them a part of my family. It's an investment kind of thing, and now I've got to go hire somebody, and potentially if this doesn't work out, turn around and fire them in a couple of months if things don't go, and they're trusting in me to leave their job to come work. So I'm in debt, and now somebody's relying on us.
Employment obligations.
So,
oh man.
So we start building. We just start. We, in addition to who we had on staff, we hired another person, and we just said 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You're just going to make product because we don't have a co-packer. We do everything ourselves. We manufacture ourselves. We ship ourselves, and we're just plugging away. And then finally, we get the heads up in February that we're going to air, which looking back was like a huge blessing because it gave us all that time to build up product and to give you an idea as far as like numbers go. We're a small company. We're still a small company. This was meant to be. This was meant to be a product to sell in my gym, not other gyms, not retail stores, not Rogue, not any like. This is just going to be something.
Right.
The year before our episode aired, we did 2,000 orders online.
Okay.
The 5 days after the show aired, we had 4,000 orders.
The day
in 5 days.
In 5 days.
So we doubled our annual order amount in 5 days. And I'm proud to say, like, those guys busted their ass, and within a week, all 4,000 orders were out the door.
That's amazing, dude. That's amazing.
Well, I have a cheat code, and CrossFitters are the best employees. It's like, I mean, the hardest working, most determined. They work to the task. They don't work to time. Like it's
as many packages as possible.
Yeah,
AMRAP.
Yeah, man.
That is awesome. What a great man! Thank you for sharing that because that's kind of like I like to dig in and again it gives me perspective. I kind of knew it about that show. I kind of suspected that some of those things. It's an amazing show, and it's what it's done for entrepreneurs is really remarkable, and the inspiration it gives other people. And I'm already an entrepreneurial spirit. I watch and I get ideas and
No, and I was a huge fan of the show before
right.
we went on.
They're all great people.
And we nailed it. Like we got so lucky. Obviously we got a deal, but going back to the production side of it, only one company per episode gets what's called a home package. So they will then send a production team out to your location to film that like hey, this is where they're coming.
Content behind the
I've seen
scenes.
that. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. So, an average pitch on the show is 5 to 6 minutes ish. But then you tack on a home package, that's another 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So we got, anywhere from 7 to 9 minutes on the show, because of the story and because we had a good product and the whole thing. And then fast forward a couple years later, we were able to get an update on the show
where they follow up with you.
Yeah.
Another home package.
Yeah. So this is during COVID.
Oh.
So then they send 2 Pelican cases, and so then you had to set up your own production scenario and the whole thing. So we got an update segment that way. And because of how well the episode was received, about every 4 to 6 weeks, we get a rerun on CNBC. So it was one of the best things we could have done for the business.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things when you say, you got really lucky, but I also good things happen to good people, and karma. It's and then the other thing is luck happens, and someone quoted this. I don't know if it's a generic quote, but luck happens when opportunity meets preparation.
Yep.
Right. And you had already started, you already built it, you started going along, and then you were prepared for it when it happens. That's cool as hell, man. The
thing I've been attached to lately is luck is the residue of design. So it basically falls in the same thing. And I mean, you talk that 90 seconds that you're in control of. I would do hill sprints, do a hill sprint, rehearse the pitch, come back down, run up. I was so fanatical about not screwing this up.
Did you do it in front of a camera too, just so you can
I had to do it in front of a camera.
That's awesome.
That's how I was when I'm in, I'm in. That's the level of.
That's awesome.
That's a classic CrossFitters approach to it.
I love that.
Just do hill sprints and then come back.
It's one way to coach yourself too.
Well, that's brilliant. Yeah.
So,
the what you've gotten recognition for though, and how everybody's starting to learn your name very quickly within the community. Beyond that is your work with addicts in recovery and setting up the TCCs in Portsmouth, Ohio.
Yeah.
And so I read it actually a couple times. I knew about your program, but I read the Rolling Stone article a couple times, but I knew about the program, but I didn't know about it in depth. First of all, I really enjoyed the article. It certainly was tugged at your heartstrings, and it was super compelling. It was made very compelling by the story of the 4 athletes who are in your program and now work for you as coaches. Just mind-blowing stories of rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I've personally had to deal with addiction in not my life, but my family's life. And my father died as a result of alcoholism. My older brother's been in rehab 4 or 5 times. Other brothers in prison as a direct result of it. So I know the impact, and this is alcohol.
Yeah.
Not even the stuff that you're having to deal with.
Yeah.
What made you, what made you decide to, that's such a difficult area to get into. I essentially was dragged into it. And by that, I mean, I was a kind of, when you go and you put a reference on when first time you rent, you have to put a reference.
Yeah.
I'm 2 or 3 down the list, right? So when the home was vacated, in other words, when my brother had to go into rehab, I go, hey, I was the guy that got called, okay.
Oh yeah.
He called the first guy on the list. The first guy couldn't help, and then I got called. Okay, shit, I'll go help. I'm the second or third guy on the list, and I literally, and that actually happened. his landlord contacted me the last time because I was the reference on his rental fee. Like, oh no, he's not paying his rent. That's a terrible sign. But you got into it. You weren't even on somebody's list. You said, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to help people.
No, man. And even worse than that, I had a very negative attitude towards addicts. It all starts when I came back home. I'm born and raised in Portsmouth, was gone for college in the military, and came back home. And I didn't even recognize my hometown that I grew up in. During that, close to 10 years was the height of the opioid epidemic, right. And specifically the illegal pain clinics and pill mills. Mm-hmm. That legitimately, historically, that started here in Portsmouth. Unfortunately, the doctor that kind of cracked the code on the pill mill business model started here in our town. And from there, that pill mill business model proliferated out through Appalachia down to Florida. And so now what's happening is the areas that have been hardest hit have the longest history with it. And the reason is it's now becoming generational. So if you were part of that first wave, when you literally just went into a doctor's office in downtown and the doctor said, does your back hurt? And you said, wink, wink. Yes, my back hurts. And you gave them $100, $200 and then wrote a script of oxys for you. Oxycontin is a chemical derivative of heroin, straight up. Mm-hmm. So once that's in your system, you ain't coming off of it. And that's what a lot of people didn't understand, myself especially, is I looked at it as like a moral failing and, they're just mentally weak and they're choosing this lifestyle. So that's where I was coming from. And I was like, these people are the mascot for the downfall of our town, the town that I loved growing up. And I went away to the military and I'm so much better than everybody else because of what I did. And I'd started this gym and the whole thing.
If you want to quit, just stop.
Yeah, just stop. Yeah. What are you like? Yeah. What? Just say no. Just stop.
Just say no. Yeah. Right.
And then I had success with Doc Spartan in 2016. And then finally, one of my really good friends, he's my personal lawyer. He helped write the counter negotiations with Robert's people during Shark Tank. And he said, hey, man, I've accepted a job as a general counsel for the Counseling Center. Counseling Center is our area's largest nonprofit addiction treatment center. And I didn't know that he was in recovery. And he just said, dude, CrossFit has been instrumental for my own personal recovery. I would like for us to develop a partnership and for you to coach CrossFit classes to people in recovery. Because I know it's a missing component of standard behavioral health right now. Like no one is doing the physical aspect of it. And so, by this point, we're talking 2018.
Yeah.
I started doing CrossFit in 2007 when I was in the military. I had seen the countless success stories of CrossFit helped me during my, trying to reintegrate back to society. CrossFit had helped. I'd seen it help adaptive athletes. Oh, yeah. So I was like, yeah, I know for sure this will work. Let's just give it a shot. And it opened my eyes and I began to see people's struggles. More importantly, I began to develop relationships with people in recovery, and just having conversations and trying to understand their history and how they fell into addiction. And so that was 2018. We tried this little pilot program of doing like one class a day. And now it's taken off to the point to where they have 3 multiple gyms in 3 different counties. We're doing anywhere from 20 to 25 classes for them. They've developed job positions to where internally they have half coaches, half counselors. their ethos as a company revolves around fitness and counseling. So it's been one of the most rewarding things I've ever could imagine.
And that person is your partner?
No, he was my best friend. So he was just my lawyer.
He's your attorney.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's my attorney. Yep.
Okay.
He was my attorney.
But your gym is a for-profit gym.
Yep. It's been a for-profit gym. So mechanistically, I don't even know. I just made that word up. I don't even know if that's a word, but how it works is we have PSKC CrossFit 2 blocks away. We are contracted to run CrossFit classes for the counseling center at their gym.
Okay.
And that we find that's the best thing to do because they control the clientele going in and out of their own facility that they own. We're just there. We do 4 to 5 classes a day for their staff and for their clients.
And their staff, and the people that you're doing class for, they can't do class if they're high, right?
Correct. Yeah. They are in a program. They have requirements to do counseling. They're getting drug screened 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are the programs, and this is leading somewhere, and I'll tell you why. The people that are in the counseling center, participating in a program, are they voluntarily in the counseling center, or are they being mandated by law as a consequence of their actions?
All the above.
All the above. Okay.
Yeah. So if you got to understand where we're at. So the people that are going to the counseling center, it's paid through Medicaid because they can't afford. They don't have insurance. They can't afford it otherwise.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you a percentage, but a good majority are coming from drug courts or coming from, hey, we either seek treatment or we're going to go to prison.
Okay.
Some people are voluntarily checking themselves in. It's a good mixture of all the above.
One of the things we've set up a partnership with the Phoenix Group, the Phoenix Group, to be a resource for addicts in recovery. But we have seen the attendance be weak or because it's voluntary, right?
Yep.
So they come voluntarily, they decide to come, or not at all. I don't think we've had anybody in or sign up as Phoenix member in quite a while.
It's been a minute. Yeah. We still have some members that
came out of it in the beginning. Yeah. And then joined the gym as full-time members.
And they're still here.
But no one actively in the program right now. And which means I got to reach out to them. I got to see if we can promote it and get it out there. And similarly, Dale, we set up a program with Matt Schendeldecker's help to get juveniles on probation in here as part of their transition from a life of incarceration to probation, and then hopefully as that has shown, leading to careers and success in their own lives,
healthy lives. Yeah.
And that we had a commitment from the county to bring in 6 people just for a tour. When they came for the tour, only 1 kid showed.
Yep.
So we made special arrangements for that one person to be here. We made all of 2 sessions of the 6 that we wanted to do, 6 one-on-one sessions with a one-on-one with a coach, and he's not that far away. And made only 2 sessions and then faded away. And I talked to the judge who helped me set this whole thing up. She's a member here, Superior Court judge. And unfortunately, in the state of California, they've taken away what she called the stick, and they only rely on the carrot. Meaning, she goes, in years past, they could mandate as part of probation that you participate in some sort of work program or fitness program or something like that. You had to participate in something as a condition of your probation. She goes, when we did that, those programs were full. And she said, as soon as the state pulled back on making those mandatory, or the ability for judges to to put them in the sentencing because the participation level has fallen off dramatically. And similarly with the Phoenix group, it's a volunteer program, and it's a great program.
It is a great program.
It's a great program.
Yep.
But unless it's mandated or a condition of kind of of staying out of jail,
right,
or staying alive,
having the ultimatum,
having an ultimatum, having consequences, it doesn't appear so far in our experience on either with the juvenile probation or the addiction recovery that they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of why I wanted to get into your question. And it is just, it's one of those things that I've learned about addiction over the, my many years is you got to hit rock bottom. And part of rock bottom is you may not need it. You may have to take forced help in order to recover.
Yep. Yes. So it's interesting, man. A couple things here. I want affiliate owners to understand, we look at this as we are servicing a corporate client. Our corporate client just happens to be in the business of treatment.
Okay.
Right. So that's how it works. So, Craig, if you had a contract with Tesla and then you went and Tesla had a gym and then you were giving 2 to 3 classes a day for Tesla's employees, that's exactly what we're doing.
Okay.
Which makes it, in my opinion, that's how we get success, right? So
yes,
we're the gym, the coach is compensated. It's a value add for the treatment center. It's a thing that they can market, that they offer CrossFit or they offer group fitness or they offer whatever. And most importantly, it's extremely beneficial for the client, the person going through treatment.
I think ultimately it's a huge benefit for the county, for the city,
yes,
and for the state as well, right? Because your long-term costs decline with the long-term cost of an individual who is an addict.
This is what we have to understand, and this is what's taken me a long time to understand. This is we as taxpayers, as society, are paying for this problem no matter what. Are we gonna want our tax-paying dollars to go to the correctional facility, where A, it doesn't work as well, and B, it's more expensive? Or do we want to see our tax-paying dollars go to some evidence-based treatment that can actually get people better, set them up for jobs, and to become tax-paying assets instead of liabilities? That's how we have to look at this problem. There is no third option to where they can do it on their own. Mm-hmm. That's not how substance abuse disorder works. It is a disease of the mind, and you know what? We want to talk about chronic disease. We want to talk about CrossFit gyms being lifeboats in a tsunami of chronic disease. We all know hypertension. We all know heart disease. We all know diabetes. Addiction is another category of chronic disease. I don't know. I'm off my high horse on that, but
no. And I think it's what's worse about it is that they no longer have physical control, right? Because of the actual physical addiction. Mm-hmm. There are food addictions, right? And that a lot of them are psychosomatic. Some of them may be actual physical addictions, but there is no doubt that with the painkillers, with heroin, with methamphetamines, crack, cocaine, those are actual physical symptoms that they're battling.
Yeah,
alcohol.
When you have to go through withdrawal to get off.
Listen,
that's physical.
No one grows up to be a social heroin user, right? Like that. It's not a party drug. Like right. You are like, your brain is hijacked and believes that you would rather have your next hit instead of in the same vein as a breath of air and a drink of water. That's what it is. Wow. And furthermore, if you take a 20-year-old kid or a 17-year-old kid, once they start substance abuse, their cognitive development essentially stops.
Yes, I read that. That was when I think it was when you're talking about, I think Rooster.
Yeah.
It talks about that. And that was mind blowing to me.
Yeah. And so so basically what we do now, the short answer is we develop relationships with clients. When and if I have 3 small businesses, the gym, Doc Spartan, and another company called Spartan Solutions Group, which is just, we're a subcontractor to a local foundry. That foundry makes kettlebells for Rogue, which is a very cool thing because now our employees who are swinging those kettlebells in CrossFit classes during treatment have an opportunity to work on the back end packaging those kettlebells up.
That's awesome.
So I assess and recruit people from the CrossFit classes, and then try to offer them as many jobs as I can through my 3 companies. 3 people of which have come all the way to become CrossFit trainers. But what we need to understand is those people. I've learned to not get as frustrated as I used to be because they're not a 33-year-old person. They're stuck as a 17-year-old person, and they need time to allow their brain to heal to let them catch up to where they need to be. And that's a big thing. So there's 3 kind of levels of when somebody's coming in hardcore, they were slamming a heroin needle in their foot vein. We need to understand we need a period of time for them to get healthy. Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health. However long that takes. Current Medicaid system, it's a maximum of 90 days. Let's just say it works within that time period. Well, you don't get some badge and says you're sober for the rest of your life. That's not how this works. No. They're released back out into the street or wherever they were going to go. And this is a guy named Andrew. He was our first guy that went through the pilot program. And at the end of it, he came to me. He was like, dude, I just want to let you know, I appreciate this. I want to thank you. This is one of the coolest things I've ever done in treatment. And I'm done with the program. And I was like, hooray. You're good. You're good now. And I was like, so what are we going to do? And he goes, well, dude, tomorrow I'm checking myself into the homeless shelter because if I go back home, I know I'm going to relapse. And I looked at my other coach and I was like, hey, I didn't even know where the homeless shelter was in my own town. And I go, dude, tomorrow, 9 a.m., come to the gym. I'm going to give you a broom and a mop, and I'm going to give you something to do until we wait for a bed to be opened up in a transitional house somewhere. So phase 1, we got to get them healthy through a combination of counseling, group counseling sessions, CrossFit, whatever you want to say. Phase 2 is we need to set them up to enable them to get a job and enable them to have a place to live for however long that is until they're ready to go back and have their apartment, have their house, have their car, to get us there.
I've had a number of conversations with affiliate owners, and I'm thinking of one in particular in San Francisco. Actually, Daniel Ratkin, who's kind of in the heart of the mess right there in downtown San Francisco. But she and I had a conversation not too long ago, and also with Tim Dimmel at CrossFit Palo Alto about members who fall off the wagon from just fitness. And by that, I mean, in other words, they're with you, they're with a period of time, and then they leave your gym. And especially if they've been with you for a long time, CrossFit affiliate owners are different. They're not, 90% of them, probably 100% of them are not in this, did not start this to make money. They found this cool methodology. They want to share with everybody else because it's life-changing. Changes physiology, changes your mental health, changes your life, every aspect of it. And if you can make some money off it, make a living, even better, right? So that's exciting. But the downside of that, the double-edged sword of being that type of person is that when your members leave you, right? It's personal. It's personal.
It hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts, man. It hurts.
Like, and people say, even at W, yes, even W. My wife will tell me, she goes, hey, so-and-so left. I'm like, what? Oh, I'm sending them a text. Well, I just want to make sure, and I don't even care that they left. I just want to make sure that they're going to keep doing something. So again, another long intro to a question. Sorry, dude. I can't imagine what it would be like if one of my members was an addict and then started using again. Like that to me would be soul crushing. Like, and to think about your situation there where you're going to look, I'm going to give this guy a broom and a mop because I do not want him to slip. I'm certain, just because of based on experiences of my family, there's recidivism.
Yes.
How do you guys handle that? How do you do that? How often does it happen with these individuals that are coming into the counseling center?
It's a nuanced answer. For the general client that comes into the counseling center, it happens a lot. I mean, there's a saying that, relapse is a part of recovery. Right. I used to think that was kind of like a bullshit excuse kind of thing, but it is. It's unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
You got to understand, like a lot of things in my life, I had no clue what I was doing when I first started doing this. So Andrew, like I said, Andrew was the first guy. There was a guy like a week or two after him. And they both needed a job. So we gave Andrew and another guy named, I'll just call him, his nickname was A-Bomb. So we had Andrew and A-Bomb. They were working part-time at Doc Spartan. They really loved the gym. So if you work for me at Doc Spartan, you get a free access to the gym. It's literally in the same building anyways. Andrew was doing really great. A-Bomb was doing really great until he wasn't. So he started slipping back. We started to notice like he wasn't working out as much anymore. One day he was late to work, and then one day he didn't show up to work. And I have one rule as an employee for people in recovery. It's just like, don't be late or be unaccounted for. So that's it. That's my only rule. Like,
I like that.
If I ever have to look around and wonder, hey, where's Craig at? That's the wrong answer.
Yes.
And that's it. Like you're gonna screw things up. You're gonna make mistakes. That's fine. I can live with that, but I can't live if I don't know where you're at. Well, he was unaccounted for, and so we got the word where he was. So I'm like, well, we go do a snatch and grab. So some friends of mine who worked at the counseling center, and I did a snatch and grab on him, and unfortunately, like he had violated his parole by using again and falling out, and he had to go to prison for 3 years. And I have messages from his mom, because his mom would get a hold of me and had to tell his mom that he's back in prison. But I'm happy to report today he's out, he's clean, and he's working as a counselor. No one prepared us for that when we went into this. But I will say, and we've had, I've had a guy that worked for me. He was a former Marine. He was just kind of working for me some part-time hours, and he died. He overdosed and he died. And he's unfortunately, since we started this program, he's one of 7 guys that I've coached in a class that have died from fentanyl overdose or fentanyl poisoning.
For those of you who are affiliate owners who are listening into this podcast and hearing this, and the stories that Dale just told about his members who have slipped, I want you to think the next time you feel bad about a member that's leaving or someone that's going, I want you to just kind of relate it to this story, and it'll give you some real perspective on on what's important, and then how much better your situation is than what Dale is having to deal with on a hopefully not often basis there in Portsmouth, Ohio.
Yeah. And it's not just me, man. Like it's all the coaches. Like I only coach one class right now. I only coach one class there a week. I've got great coaches that do that. I have a very welcoming community for, not a lot of these guys. So the way it kind of works is the TCC gym's called the Hawk. So it's called the Health and Wellness Center. And because they're so forward thinking and they actually want to make a difference, their gym is free for any current member or an alumni.
Cool.
And it's unbelievable, man. Like it's a true definition of like a community center that's based around health. And they, those guys, these social workers and these counselors in today's age, and let's not forget the police officers, and let's not forget the firemen and the EMTs. Those first responders here in Portsmouth are seeing death on a scale that was worse than Iraq or Afghanistan. It's weekly.
Shit.
And like these guys are having to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it's not very well known. It's not very well publicized because it's not a feel-good story to talk about.
Those people are better people than I. They I mean, it really is remarkable that they put themselves out there. I can't imagine being a counselor at the counseling center and having
they're like
build strong relationships, get your hopes up, get this, every single person that, came in and stopped using drugs, I'd be like, yes. And I'd be high-fiving. I'd be so pumped up, and I would be so devastated when they slip. Like it would be like the stress levels for me would be just monumental.
It's and I don't,
like
if you're going to go anywhere, go with all your heart.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know another way.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to love that hard, you're willing to be hurt that hard as well.
That's well said.
But that's what it takes. We're in a war. We're not winning right now, and we need more people to fight. Essentially,
if the next question related to this is if an affiliate wanted to help and wanted to get involved some way, you've developed a great relationship with the counseling center that has enabled this awesome process. What would an affiliate owner, a typical affiliate owner, where would you recommend that they go or start if they want to make their gym available to something similar?
It's a two-part answer. I'm gonna give you some free content for free, and then I'm gonna have a call to action afterwards. So like if you're, in my opinion, if you're running a good gym, you will have a member somewhere that is working at a substance, a behavioral health center or addiction treatment center or something. So look internally first.
Okay.
See if you can develop a relationship from a member first. That's the easiest way to do it. If that's not possible, pull up Google and see what addiction treatment centers are near you. Not everyone, just like a CrossFit gym, not everyone's going to be created equal. Look, and you can kind of just gauge that the best you can off your website. And then try to find somebody on the executive team via email and just call or email them. And let me just stop right there. You can get a hold of me. We're launching, we've actually done this 3 times. We're launching a thing called the Portsmouth Method Seminar to basically teach gym owners exactly how we've done it.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
In that you can I'm not going to make I'll give away our version of a level 1 manual for free. You just got to email me. And in that manual, an appendix is a sample email to send out to somebody that you want to work with. But send an email out to them and just say, hey, I would like to offer your executive team and your staff a free week, a free 2 weeks, a free month at my gym because I would really like to work with you and your clients. Don't try to sell them anything. Don't try to just get them in your gym to see what CrossFit is. You're not going to be able to explain it over a phone. You're not going to be able to explain it over the email. Offer them a free month. Who cares? Like, get them in your facility. Then once they've experienced their first workout, then you talk to them and say, this is exactly the kind of thing we would like to be able to offer for your clients and your staff at your facility. And don't get caught up, like they may not have a gym at their place. That's fine. You can then offer them your 2 p.m. slot at your gym. They have to be responsible for bringing the people there. Somebody's got to be herding the cats somewhere.
Right.
And then if they're paying for it, this is the thing, but a lot of people miss. If they have a contract with you, they're incentivized to ensure they get an ROI on it.
Okay.
Otherwise, like, what are we paying for?
That's right.
So
contract.
Just find somebody in your gym. If you can't, cold email them. We can send you a copy of that email. Offer them a free week, a free month, whatever. Work out with them. And then say, and here's the next thing is like, well, you don't have to have some year contract to work with ABC Treatment Center. You can just say, the way we do it is we get paid a per class rate, and that's up to you and the client to negotiate on what you think that's worth. And then just say, let's do a 30-day trial. Let's do 3 classes a week, a 30-day trial. And if you think it's something of value at the end of it, then let's talk about a longer term renewal.
You mentioned something that I didn't do, and so followed Dale's instructions. And so when the probation officers came, we had 2 probation officers came. They were supposed to come with 6 kids. They came with 1.
Yeah.
I felt like when I was having this, I was so excited. I was giddy about having them there, and I felt like I was having to sell the probation officers too. They looked skeptical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I didn't do is what Dale recommended, which is get them into a class.
Get them to buy in.
Be even before the kids come.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm excited about it. Like, you know, when you come here and you go into class and the members are everybody sells you on CrossFit, you know, the coaches don't have to do anything because the other members will sell you on it. It's the same thing with them. And that's what I'm going to. You've prompted me to go back to them and get them. I'm going to make it available to them.
You could, like, I'm just telling you, like,
once they're in, they're going to sell it to all the kids.
They would probably be the ones that would also be able to recognize who's actually going to be a good fit for it. Like,
yeah, even better.
You know, like, this is something that's going to impact you in your life. This is, you know, you're on the edge. Here's a good chance to make a turn.
It's so much easier with leadership buy-in.
Yeah.
There's a freaking judge in Virginia. He does the class with them. He's a CrossFitter. He understands it. Like, you're going to get so much farther if you can find the one treatment center or whatever that has that hardcore CrossFit person on the staff somewhere and get them to have executive leadership buy-in, and then let them be their mavens or whatever the right term is for the program.
The other thing I will tell affiliate owners is that the people in the judicial system, they care.
Yeah.
Like the conversations I had with our member who is a Superior Court judge, she genuinely cares. Like, I could feel it. She doesn't want to send kids to jail.
No, but when you told her about the program, she called like other judges, like,
oh yeah,
that day.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
and Matt Schindeldecker had the same experience as well. They want to, judges aren't in the role as judges. And this is something, a preconceived notion I had. They aren't in their roles to be the punitive, you know, guy that, you know, that sends people to guy or girl, woman, man or woman, that sends people to jail and keeps crime, you know, low.
Building the power.
They're in those roles almost similar to what a CrossFit affiliate owner is. They want to help people. And they want to help people do the best that they can for society, using the law to help get them there.
Just need a few more tools, and we can be.
Yeah, and what's happening now? I think it's 2 or 3 billion. There's 49 states are receiving opioid class action settlement money.
Oh, that's right.
Which is like one of the most beautiful things ever, because all these predatory pharmaceutical companies got sued and have to divvy up a couple billion across 40 states. And this is what the judge had told me, is that money's starting to trickle down, but the people at the county level and whoever's in charge of dispersing the funds have no clue on what to use it for. If you can have a plan in place and you can show that it works, it's a good program to be able to roll out. And it's very, like, Matt and I talk a lot all the time. Like, we're very aligned in how we're doing and what we're doing. It's just different segments of the population that we're for. But, you know, if you can find, you know, if it's state funded, federal funded, or pharmaceutical funded, and you can align your passion in life for a purpose to be deployed in this area to truly, I mean, like, CrossFit saves lives is such a cliche now, but when you can see it and you know that it works, your life will be transformed, and you will not, like, I do see and experience some of the worst pain that you could imagine just from listening to somebody's story and just from seeing it. But as hurtful and as dark as that is, you experience the opposite as well.
Read the Rolling Stone article, people, because you'll get a taste of what he's talking about right there. And it starts out with one of the darkest stories of a gentleman who's now Rooster is now a coach, right?
No, he's not a coach. He works at the.
Oh, that's right. He works at the clinic at the treatment.
Yeah, he's one of our best employees there.
Yeah.
And let me. I know we're like running over on time, but
that's all right, dude. We're fine.
Let me. There was so much that wasn't able to be put in the Rolling Stone article for good reason. But speaking of Rooster, right? So you can read his story in there, but, you know, I'll be invited to go on talks, and one of the things from hearing Rooster's story during that interview that didn't get put in there is one of the things that he taught me. So Rooster had one of the most horrific upbringings that you could ever imagine, involving sexual, physical, emotional abuse from both parents, including his father. His father was a member of a motorcycle gang called the Dayton Satans, which, you know, awesome motorcycle name, but that kind of tells you his personality. Broke his bones, just beat him up, abused the hell out of Rooster, and set Rooster off on a path of suicide, destruction, drug abuse multiple times over. And so the Rolling Stone interviewer asked him, it said, what made you ultimately decide it was enough? You'd been through several treatment centers, you had relapsed, you've been kicked out, you've a felon, you've been in prison. And Rooster said, well, it just came down to forgiveness. And I thought, man, that's great. Rooster had to finally forgive himself for everything that had happened. But he said, I had to learn forgiveness. I had to forgive my father.
Oof.
Because for him to do all that to me, I can't imagine what was done to him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God. It was like one of the most
impactful, right? Yeah. Here's a guy that has been through so much, developmentally, impacted, and comes up with that profound perspective.
That's some perspective for you.
I was like,
shit.
And that's why, like, I think I'm in a good mood the majority of the time. I'm a happy dude. Because, like, and I'm just like, finally, if I know somebody long enough and I can be really honest with them, I just finally go, hey, why don't you just get some real problems? Like, what you're your deal didn't go through on a multi-million-dollar this or that, or and you're upset because the grass didn't, your lawn care company didn't come on time to cut your lawn, and you're pissed off at the world. And finally, I'm just like, bro,
you have no idea.
Get some big.
Yeah.
Life is good. Life is good, man. Like, it's all right.
It is. So you're headed out, completely change the subject as we're getting a little bit low on time. Well, probably we don't put a time gap on it. You're going to be one of our longest ones, but this discussion is so good that I want to keep it going. But you're headed out to the CrossFit Games.
Yes, dude. So Rolling Stone article came out. In parallel, the last really 18 months, we've been developing a documentary. Proud to say, like, this is breaking news on the PRs All Day podcast. We finally signed a distribution deal, which is huge for us. So we signed with a company called Nacelle. They've done a lot of great things on various streaming platforms, but the Nacelle company is our distributor, and we're looking at a October release of our documentary called Small Town Strong. And to CrossFit's credit, especially, I can't say this guy's name enough, and I can't thank him enough, Tyson Oldroyd, who's produced, him and his wife, the last several CrossFit Games documentaries.
Yep.
I sent him a rough copy of the film, and he replied immediately after he watched it, and he said, dude, this is one of the most powerful pieces of CrossFit content I've ever seen in my life. And we want to help you promote this film as much as possible.
That's awesome.
And so he took the charge within HQ and got everybody on board. And so at the games, they're going to be running our trailer as an ad throughout the broadcast and on site. So, I may not, I may have issues with HQ every now and then and sound like a disgruntled ex-employee. But I can't thank Tyson and Don and Dave and Nicole. Nicole was a really big proponent of it. I can't thank them enough for wanting to share this story. So we're going to the games. And more importantly, we're going to have Tailgate Party 2.0.
Yep.
This is also
a very impromptu OG tailgate party we had last year. Hey, I'm going to go get a keg. We're going to invite OGs.
Throw a tent up, throw some lights up.
Yeah, that's right. 10 out lights. We had lights. It was nice.
Yeah. And so once I figured we were going back, I got a hold of Craig and Matt, and there's a potential for a very, very, very important guest appearance, of which I cannot say until the day of. So I think we're looking at end of competition on Friday. Come out to the RV parking lot where the real OGs hang out at, and more importantly, just come hang. Like, that was the thing last year. It was like, this event sponsored by so and so, and you have to have exclusive tickets, and we're not doing any of that shit. Like, if you want to come hang out and be around good people, Friday at the end of competition, come on out to the RV parking lot. You'll find us. Come hang out.
There's a group of RVs that get together. Well, everybody in the RV park they're all starting to get to know each other now, because a lot of them are repeat people. But myself and Matt, and I got to get Matt Schindeldecker because he gets 3 RV spots.
That's where you met him, right?
Yeah, that's where I met him. And he sets up a full-blown gym.
Yep.
And then Jamie Lee, PRs All Day, gets to write the programming for those workouts. Every day there's workouts there, and you can come. Anybody can come work out there at that gym that's in the RV park, and it's badass.
Sweet. When they get closer, man, let me know.
Right.
Love to participate in that with you guys.
And then the Medeiros' parents, Justin Medeiros' parents, are there.
Yep.
And then the guys from Sherpa Works are there, the OG Culture.
Yeah, Ken is I think Ken's even potentially making a cool little exclusive T-shirt as well.
Yeah.
Ooh,
and it's cool. We essentially invite OGs. It was really cool last year. Daniel Chadbourne,
Chaffee,
Daniel Chaffee. I'm sorry. who's the European. He's France, right? But
he's international.
He's international. Okay, yeah.
So he's
Sorry, Daniel. But he brought all of his country leaders there.
Yeah, I remember that
to the event, and it was just kind of mind blowing. And then we had a few Diablo members there, and they were blown away. I think Chase Ingram will probably be there, and Bill Grundler I think is going to come. And then and like Dale alluded to, we might have the most OG of the OGs there as well. So that's kind of cool. We might even be able to get. Well, Adrian said he might show up.
Yeah,
if it's after the competition time.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like if this thing goes, which is what I'm thinking it'll go, is once the rumor mill goes,
we're in trouble. Like they're gonna change the rules of the RV park next year.
Next year will be the last year that in this RV spot.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's always better to ask for forgiveness.
Yes, it is. Facts. So we're looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. Man, this has been a great conversation. It's we get on here and I put a little like 3-point outline on the whiteboard, and we literally just kind of open it up and start talking, and almost inevitably it turns into just when you get people talking freely, it ends up on really cool subjects. Yeah.
Amazing stories.
This one was really good.
Thanks, man. And I'll ask. Oh, so let me try to make some money here. If you're listening, you can use code PRs all day for Doc Spartan, and you get 20% off. And then I ask that once we get close to film time, I'll send you guys an advanced copy of it, and then we can come back and sit and talk about the film.
Oh, absolutely. That'd be great. That'd be good to do that. We're going to try and podcast. I got to talk to Jamie about this podcast while we're out there as well.
I was going to ask you about that too.
Good to have you come sit down for 10, 15
minutes. Would love to. Yeah.
Thank you for the discount code. By the way, if you're affiliate owner, get the Combat Ready Ointment, get the Big 10, put it in your gym, and have it there for your members just to use, like, if they tear in class or after class, and then if you put a few cans in the lobby
to sell,
they'll be gone, because as soon as they try it in the gym, and that's what we do now, I'm letting people try it as they go. I've already gotten good feedback from it, so that's do that. And thank you for your sponsorship and support, man. It means a lot.
Oh, dude, listen, I love you guys. I love affiliate owners. I believe this is one of the best, if not the best, sources for just like finding out information, man. Like what you get. Like I look up to you, Craig, mainly, because you're so ripped at age 85, but I see, like, anytime I need help, I've got a direct line to you, and your advice has worked well for me. And what you guys are doing, you're a very special gym, and a lot of people need to learn from you guys. So it's my pleasure.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Share this with your friends. Tell them to subscribe. Cheers.
Peace out, guys.
See ya. Thanks again.